Morgan and Marduk here in New York. Guitar player, founder.
I'm going to ask you questions that are not the usual. These are more personality questions that everyone can ask Marduk questions anywhere else. But today we're going to ask important ones.
Okay.
What are your influences? No, I'm just kidding. What is your extremely polite opinion of Antifa?
Actually, I don't really have an opinion because I don't give a shit because, of course, they cause some problems, but for me it's an overrated organization. The thing is, when they start to cause problems, even the metal community is helping out to make them bigger by exposing them and let them take the power and let them speak and, really get scared of them. If you don't just ignore it, and it wouldn't be a problem. Or you fight back the way you do with all problems in life.
You're Swedish.
Yes.
And you were talking before this interview about how you can't say an American is this, a Swede is this, but surely you must have some criticism about the ultra unrealistic ways of the Swedish government, let's say?
Oh yeah, it's fucked up everything. It's so screwed and it's getting worse and worse. It's like a competition of idiots and who's being the most, it's best to be the most idiotic, So it's like, I don't even know what to think of it. I try to avoid the news, even though I'm still interested in news and I keep updated what's going on, but I don't really want to know. I live on the countryside and I wish that I would even stay away more from everything than I do, but I still have a political, historical interest which makes me check things out and I always get so pissed.
There are people outside of Sweden, and they say the same things about America, that you're so stupid and out of touch with reality that you get what you deserve. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but speaking about America, for me, it's, as I told you before, many people ask, what do you think of an American? But an American can be a lot of different things. I mean, you can be a hipster in, as I told you before, in California or a farmer in Montana. It's two different worlds. It would be like asking you, what do you think of Europeans? I mean, a guy in Sicily is very different from a guy in northern Finland. They all have their different aspects. So. But I mean, I don't interfere with other countries' political things or issues. It's their problem, But I still like to keep myself up to date with what's happening in the world, Even whether I want it or not, I still do it for some reason.
You started your own record label. Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, I mean, when we left Osmos in '99, I formed my own label, Bloodon, which is more of an etiquette. And we've done things through Regain Records, we've done things through Century Media. And I kept kind of a low profile for a few years, but I'm actually going to expand it when I get back home. Right now I have done license deals for some of the reissues of the Marduk stuff that were earlier on the Regain, and some new stuff coming out as well, signing up a few bands. I'm going to make it even more of a label than it was before, and all the releases going to differ a lot when it comes to who will do distribution and marketing. Some things I will do by myself and some will be licensed, but it's a thing that will expand more later this year.
The vocals...
I believe in getting control of your own music, That it's good to own your own copyrights of everything. That's an advice I would give to all bands. Keep control of what you're doing, and it's your music, it's your work, you should have full control of it.
Was it a sign of the way the world is changing and how the music business is changing?
Yeah, it was back in the day, because when we left, if I go back to '99, when we left Osmos, which I never had any problems with because it's a good label, one of the few that's always only signed bands that they really appreciate and love, and they always done it because of the love of the art, not because it was popular. But at that time we got offers from most of the big metal labels, but I never heard anything positive about it, so we decided to go by our own, And if it wasn't the biggest label, it was still fine by us because we believe in the power in what we do.
The vocals are sick enough to be respected by death metal people. How do you feel about that as a black metal guy?
For me, that's never been a big issue. It's something that's a lot been made out by media, I think. If you look back some of the old bands, it was never important if they were death, black, or even thrash or whatever. For me, Old Creator, Celtic Frost, Possessed, Bathory, Morbid Angel, Dayside, the old stuff. For me, it's never been important to label it. For me, I would label a lot of those bands black metal, but black death, whatever, it doesn't matter, And when it comes to lately, the last 20 years, whatever, a lot of people just, what should I say, that black metal is because of certain vocal style. For me, it's always been about the faith, and whatever metal music it is, and it's the faith that is the conviction that makes it black metal,
Do you think that the World War II imagery may be irrelevant to younger people?
Maybe. I don't know. But I think that non-historical era should be irrelevant to anybody because everything is the way. For example, in Sweden, a lot of people are really, they don't know their own history, which is bad, I think, because you need to know your own history and know why we have the borders we have, that people bled for them, and the things that went on. But people don't give a shit today. They only care about, whatever, media stuff or whatever, social media is more important or whatever, or actors. It's just like a weird world, and the inspiration people have today is strange things,
Throughout the years, we've heard funny things between Sweden and Norway. Is there any rivalry? Is there any real difference between Sweden and Norway?
Of course not. I think it's like the whole of Scandinavia is something where more or less the same people. I mean, it's always been a bit of joking between the countries, I would say, but nothing serious. I don't think really any Swedes or Norwegians really hated each other. It's the same people more or less. Just that they speak really stupid, but...
Are there any changes in the scene or in the world that make it harder to continue as a band?
No, and I think that's... Not really. Everything is life it's about overcoming things, and if a lot of artists really talks about the music industry, how it changed for the worse, and I mean, you just have to adjust, accept you can't change things, it's moving along, We never had any big problems. Of course, it's crazy with the stealing of music, I would say, but I can't change it, we make the best out of everything and we continue to do what we do. I believe in what we do and we make ways to make it work.
I thought it was a great idea for you to invite Alan from Primordial to sing on the song.
Yeah.
That was an incredibly heavy song. Are there any other vocalists that are in your mind for future songs?
Not really, but I agree with you. It was a great, interesting thing to do with Alan. It worked very well, and it still stands the test of time. It's a great thing to have done. There's a lot of vocalists that you could do something with, but I could see myself maybe doing something. Tom Giwori could be an interesting character maybe to have, maybe Glenn Danzig, things like that. Something that's still a bit different,
You were one of the very first bands in the black metal scene, and Americans think that black metal is this incredibly big movement, but when you started it was small, and you said yourself that you were very surprised that you could actually buy black metal in stores.
Yeah, because I think, if you look at 1991, 92, it was still kind of obscure, but then all of a sudden things started appearing in regular record stores. I would never have seen that happen, it was an explosion that I could never have imagined, but yeah, it was rather bizarre. And the thing is, when it comes to Scandinavian countries, and everybody think it's such a, even with old death metal, when it got back, if I should say the second wave or whatever you want to call it, the thing is that in Scandinavia, I think that everybody plays in a band, So it's not that many people in the scene, everybody's in a band. But that changed probably as well, but I'm not really keeping up to date.
The metal press elevated black metal, respected black metal, and then it seemed that they tried to knock it down, and they even said that it was dead. So I don't agree with that, because black metal bands are always forming. So what is it about the style?
I don't know. The thing is that I don't really care what anybody else is doing. For me, it's important what we do. That's what I really focus on, and I don't care too much about scenes or what people are thinking in the media about it's dead or not. I mean, it's obviously not dead. We keep on marching and everything goes very well, so I don't see any real complaints. But the things will be popular in media from time to time, but I mean, who really cares? Because even if you look upon it, as I said, when everything started getting to stores, and for 10, 15 years, everything grew bigger and bigger. And if it disappears from regular stores, if there isn't a regular record stores anymore, it doesn't matter, because still it's underground and it worked like it used to do for so many years before.
Would the Morgan of 20 years ago look at the Morgan of today and have any criticism?
Maybe, I don't know, but I mean, 20 years is 20 years. I mean, I'm not the same. When I was 10, it's not the same when you're 20 or 30. I mean, things change. You change as a person. You look upon things differently. If I look upon my beliefs 25 years ago, it's different from today, but it's still the same core of it that I just haven't developed, Same with your personality. I mean, things change.
Would you like to dismiss any sort of misconception about you or Marduk?
No. Because I don't care. I mean, sometimes people get to me and say, oh, I read this and that. What do you think? I never commented. If somebody says I'm this or that, why should I even bother to comment? It's not a part of my world. I have more important things to do than to bother what people are thinking about this or that, or if I'm cool or not. I don't give a shit. I know what I'm doing.
Marduk has had a change in vocalist. I must say that I really like the new vocalist.
It's like a few years now.
He is out of his mind.
Yeah.
were people resistant to him when he first came aboard?
Of course, some people still are, but for me, it's the same thing. I mean, some people love Paul Di'Anno or Iron Maiden, some love Bruce Dickinson. It's a big change, but I mean, some people like it, some don't, but that's the way it is. But for me, when Legion was getting out of the band, I wanted a vocalist that had a different... I didn't want to have a copy of the same vocalist we already had. And I was very familiar with the works that our vocalist right now was doing before. And I thought he had one of those voices that's really outstanding in the whole metal scene, wherever Death or Black, it's more of an instrument than just a voice. That's why I always loved about it, and therefore it's great to have him come to the band, because he uses his voice, as I said, as more of an instrument. It's such a powerful thing. It's just not somebody reading the lyrics. It's something unique in its own way.
The lyrics of Marduk have changed over the years. It was very blasphemous at one point, and then it became, I don't know if it's political, but we talked about the World War II imagery. But do you think that maybe there is a requirement to return to blasphemy, but maybe not against Christianity, but another religion?
If we do it, of course, we'll do it when we feel for it. I mean, I'm not feeling that anybody else should tell me what to write about. For me, it's always about doing what comes genuine. And for when you were younger, you had a certain view about things, and you had a different anger, I would say, but I still have a bit of that anger as well. So I think we're going to see, if you want to call it blasphemous or whatever in the future, but it's always about being genuine and do what you believe in for the time being. And for the time being, a lot of historical things are inspiring me to write music. I would, as I said always before, it's like writing a soundtrack to a specific story. For me, that's very fascinating, because reading, watching documentaries about certain things creates music in my head. So I write the soundtrack to it. And, for example, right now we're going to start to work on the next album. I think I have 3 different themes that I have in my mind that's going to be on 3 coming Marduk albums, but I don't know for sure today which one is going to be on the next album. Time will tell that. Because when we finish the touring cycle, we go back. We start to, because we all write all the time, and we get back together after the touring cycle, and we let everything fall into the right place. Then we will have the feeling what the concept will be of the album.
Before we did this interview, you said that you like the music to speak for you, that you don't like to do interviews. Yeah. But I have interviewed Snowy Shaw, you know who he is, and Chris from Therion, and they said that when a Swede in music says certain things, it can be the end of a career.
Okay.
And
maybe for them, I don't know.
Well, what I find interesting about you is that Marduk and controversy are not strangers, but you feel confident in that everything is in there in the music. You don't have to explain to people who just have a heart attack over what they see.
I think so, because for me, when I look back, as I'm a big fan of history, I love history, and I love old paintings. And what I like about certain old paintings is the allergy in it, that you have to find out the meaning in it yourself. Same with music. I shouldn't be there to tell everybody this song deals with this and that and that. It's up to the listener to discover and find himself. It's a hidden gems in there that everybody needs to discover for themselves. And therefore I don't want to say too much about certain things in songs. And I meet people constantly on the road that they tell me, like, is that really about this and that? I was like, yeah, or not, It's interesting how some people do the research and find things, and some will never know it. And they're fine with that, and I'm fine with that as well.
I just find it refreshing, and I have great respect for you that you don't care what idiots think. You have your message, and those who can hear, hear, and those who want to make a sensationalistic thing about it,
they're free to do it.
Yeah. So Morgan, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.